Once again, good morning, everyone. My name is John Banks. I am a business consultant here at True Access Capital. And today we are having our webinar on how to do business with Delaware State University. We're excited to hear about all of the wonderful items that the university makes available to you small businesses. And I hope that you get a lot out of this. But before we officially begin, there are some people on the line that I would like to introduce you to. One being one of our major strategic partners, and that is the U.S. Small Business Administration. Jennifer Pilcher is on the line, and she's going to talk to you about some other opportunities and some other webinars that she is in the process of promoting, just to see if we can gauge your interest in that regard. So Jennifer, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you. My name is Jennifer Pilcher. I work with the U.S. Small Business Administration, which is a federal agency. I worked with John there for years, and I work in the Delaware office. And my role is to help small businesses learn to do business with the federal government and engage small businesses with what we call our SBA federal government certification programs. Those programs and those certifications are meant to give small businesses a competitive edge on certain federal contracting opportunities. So the certifications are the Woman-Owned Small Business Certification Program, the Hub Zone Program, which is for businesses that are located in high unemployment, low income areas by census tract, the Veteran-Owned Small Business and Service-Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business Certification Program. And and the 8A program. The 8A program is for socially and economically disadvantaged individuals who own businesses, essentially where those folks have experienced discrimination that has prevented them from starting their business or in growing their business in ways that it otherwise would have. Those folks can qualify for a certification by SBA that helps them compete for federal contracts. Essentially, federal contracts can be put out for what we call full and open competition. That's when any and all can bid on that contract. Or federal government buyers can do what we call set aside those federal government contracting opportunities for competition only among small businesses or only among small businesses that have certain of these certifications. So what that does is that limits competition on that contract and makes it more likely that you will successfully win that contract. So as John mentioned, we have webinars at SBA on broad federal government contracting topics like how to do business with the federal government, some of the strategic partnerships and relationships that you can form as a small business to increase your likelihood of success winning contracts, and of course, those certification programs. So if you visit SBA Delaware's website, you could just Google SBA Delaware, you'll see that we have a calendar. And that calendar gives you the opportunity to register for each one of these sessions as they make sense for you. They're all free of charge. The federal government is funded by taxpayer dollars. SBA has a separate funding structure, but the point is that it is free of charge. So I'm hopeful that some or all of you will join us for those sessions. One that I'm particularly proud of is a session on a federal government database that's publicly accessible called the Federal Procurement Data System. The Federal Procurement Data System you can think of as like the federal government's checkbook register. It is a record of everything the federal government has bought, what they've paid for it, who they bought it from, and the contact information for the federal buyer on that contract. But maybe most importantly, it will tell you when that contract is going to come up for bid again. So understanding how to use this database can let you create a strategic marketing plan for yourself. It can let you identify which government agencies are buying what you're selling. There are so many federal agencies, and small business owners basically by definition have a limited amount of time to devote to marketing themselves to the federal government. So what you're going to want to do is be strategic about it. Spend most of your marketing efforts on those agencies that are actively buying what you are selling, and give yourself enough runway to be successful with connecting with those agencies by understanding how this database works, That way you can see what contracts are coming up for bid 6 months down the road, a year down the road, and you can get yourself in front of that buyer. Because essentially the certification programs that SBA offers, huge value. The support that SBA offers, huge value in helping small businesses be successful in this federal contracting arena. But by and large, the small businesses that are successful in the federal government contracting arena are the ones that are marketing themselves actively to the federal government. You can think of these certification programs as a tool. You know, once you have done that active marketing of your business, no one knows your business the way you do. No one can sell your business the way that you can. Once you have put yourself in front of the federal government buyer, and you can also say to them, I have these certifications. And by the way, the federal government is actually gold by Congress to do business with the federal government. The federal government is gold to spend 23% of the dollars that it spends stateside every year with small businesses. And last year, the federal government spent over $600 billion. So there's money to be made here. And Congress further goals the federal government to spend certain percentages of those stateside spent dollars with small businesses that have these certifications. So I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know that John has really valuable things to talk with you about today, and you're going to be hearing from Delaware State University. But I do want to let you know that SBA does have folks that are based here in Delaware that are easy to engage with and want to help you to be successful in the federal government contracting arena. So I want to invite you to join us on those webinars. Again, the SBA Delaware website, just scroll on down to the calendar. You'll see what we have coming up, and I invite you to register. Thanks, John.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you again for that wonderful piece of information. That's 100 billion plus in opportunities to small business on every single year from the federal government. And if you're looking to expand your business horizons to include more customers, Uncle Sam, nobody buys more stuff than Uncle Sam. And that's a customer that you definitely want to get under your tentfold. And having those certifications will help to enhance your ability to be successful in landing those opportunities. Next, I would like to introduce my partner in crime, Chris Fullman. He is the program manager for the New Markets Opportunity Program here at True Access Capital. Chris, introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone, and appreciate you guys participating. As you know, with True Access Capital, we're really excited about bringing the New Markets program. We're really excited about being able to bring opportunities to small businesses because we understand that procurement and doing business with the government, doing business with the university, doing business with private industries can really transform a small business, right? It can help them grow to a whole nother level. So as we continue this workshop series, we want to just thank the businesses who are taking advantage, because oftentimes we see or we hear about lack of access, lack of resource. So it's always good to see businesses taking the initiative to take advantage of the resources that are available. And hence today we have Delaware State University that will be participating and letting us know and the businesses just a little bit about how to do business with Delaware State. And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Bernard Pratt.
Okay, before we officially turn it over, let me just speak to the audience. We want to keep this conversation as interactive as possible. So as you have questions, we want to give you an opportunity to type in your questions in the chat box. Once you have that information in the chat box, we will pause periodically and strategically to ask the questions that you may have. And we will also give you, we're going to try to keep this interactive and allow you to ask your questions directly. And all right, so Bernard Pratt, he is the Assistant Vice President of the Facilities Management and Planning and Construction at the Delaware State University. And also on the line joining Bernard is Jackie Griffith. She is the Chief of Staff at Delaware State University. So let's give them a welcome. And Bernard, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody can hear us. If you can't, we apologize and we'll try to be loud as possible. So I'm Bernard Pratt. I'm Associate Vice President for Delaware State University over operations, facilities, and the housing construction side of things. I have with me today Ms. Griffith, who is the Chief of Staff, and multiple other hats she wears, where she plays a major part of the university for bringing forth partnerships and growth for the university. Ms. Griffith, if you have anything to say before I proceed. So you can move to the next slide. You can go back one slide. I see Miss Selena Spencer. She's the budget analyst for the facility side of the operation for operations to partnership with Delaware State University to come forth to get that D number. And when I say a D number, the D number is a number, not just a state number for becoming a vendor, but we also have our own number within in-house of making you a Delaware State vendor to partnership with Delaware State University for different opportunities. To move forward. We're showing you different products that we procure here at Delaware State University, just in this one area, but it's multiple different areas and divisions at Delaware State University. So if you have other questions that we can answer, we will answer. And if we can't answer it, we'll table it and come back to Mr. Banks, and you can reach out to him and we'll have an answer for you. So products we procure from the division side of operations, like rental equipment, electrical supplies, custodial supplies, plumbing supplies, and general maintenance supplies. Next slide. The service we procure, as well as you see here, the water remediation, down through everything to run the operations on a 24-hour. We are a 24-hour building preparation here with daily living for 24 hours per day. So this is different procurements we have, or different projects we do come forth and move forward with. And you can take a visual look. Y'all have everything here on the screen. If y'all have any questions as we go along, please ask. You can move to the next slide. This is how to become a registered vendor for Delaware State University. First, you need to send over your W-9. And it's the email address on there.
Bernard, before we move on, we do have a question from the audience pertaining to the previous slide, and it talks about the consulting services, and the participant wanted to know what type of consulting services are included in the consulting category.
I had Mr. Pratt to add that on. So I would say some of the construction, some of the consulting would be construction services, such as construction management, project management. There's various types. So it really just depends. So it's important to also, I don't know if you're going to talk about the request for proposal process. So that may be helpful. And I think that'll come into line with a lot of those services. It would not include marketing. We have our own marketing department. I see the question that came up as far as marketing. We have a marketing communication section, and that's headed by Dr. Dawn Mosley. So she may request for proposals for different types of work, but this is strictly related to construction, project management, design services were on there as well. Some architecture services. Am I missing anything?
Yes, you pretty much capture everything. The consulting part is to assist us with assessments and guiding us along through projects on the construction side, as well as doing energy assessment, things like that.
So
Next.
just for clarity, I just wanted to confirm with you guys that most of the consulting that you're saying is only related to construction. Is there any other layer of consulting or professional service outside of construction that the university buys?
So if you was to send in what you're trying to entertain and bring forth to the table, we can reach out to each division, and it may be something within house that they want to reach out for from their part, but we will get you to the table where you can entertain that part of it.
So just for today, it's only for the construction portion, but there will be times that there are requests for proposals for professional services and some of the other things that involve educational services, but that's not for today, and that's through the other areas, as Mr. Pratt was saying.
Before we move on, there's another question in the chat from Chad Gillespie. He wants to know, what about utility locating and GPR? Is that a service that you guys buy under this umbrella in this arena?
Yes, it is. Long as he's a state vendor, partnership with the D number for Delaware State University, and forward over all his paperwork for the W-9 insurance and all the good things that we would request, we will entertain and look into bringing him aboard as being a partner for Delaware State University.
Okay, I think all of the questions in the chat were addressed. There is a question in here for Jennifer Pilcher, but I will address that a little bit later on. So Kyle, I'll get back to your question. I'll direct it to Jennifer at the conclusion of this presentation. So, okay, next slide.
This is pretty much for the Delaware bids and contracts to become a GSS contractor or awarded contractor vendor. So the state itself puts out an RFP for that consulting part you may be asking for, or whatever you're coming forth with entertaining to be a partnership with being an awarded vendor. And Delaware State, we do play a part of following the RFP, the GSS contractors, as well as what the state present to us and provide for us, so we can get things done on a daily basis here. This is a link that you can look into. It's public knowledge where you can go into to look at the different bids that's out there, the awarded vendors for different areas and fields. And it's a good resource, documents that you can go through to read upon, come forth to grow your own corporation things for your own entity. Next slide. This is just the directory, same thing that follows along with the bid, solicitation for your directory, things that you go through, what's out there, how to become awarded vendor for Delaware, for the state of Delaware to be a service of Delaware State University. Sorry about that. Next slide. On this site right here, it also would tell you who is awarded vendor for Delaware, for the Delaware's capital overall. And this is something that we'll go through as we're looking for different contractors, different people to bring forth for different needs that we do have at the university. This is a awarded site that we do visit to try to bring somebody aboard to help us out with our accomplishments. Next slide. The vendor resources is also another my marketplace, something that Delaware offers throughout the state, where we can go on for different reports. They tell about the good things, also the bad things, to make sure you are a resourceful vendor to help out with not just Delaware State, but other entities within the state as well. Next slide. Yes.
Okay. So Bernard, for the most part, most of your procurement and bid opportunities are done through the Delaware.gov My Marketplace website. And for those of you who are not familiar with Siobhan White, somebody you definitely want to get to know. She helps perform small business certification at the state level so that you can take advantage of the opportunities that Delaware State University makes available. Siobhan White's, probably I will, for everyone on the call, I'll make sure that you'll get a copy of the PowerPoint presentation that was just presented. We will send you a link to the recording, but I will also include Siobhan White's contact information. So that way, if you're not familiar with how to do business with the state of Delaware, I know that they perform a host of educational webinars throughout the month to help new businesses looking to engage the state government in how to take advantage of that. They run through the whole gamut of the entire website of the links that you see before you. So we'll make sure that you have that information, and we will also share some of the upcoming webinars that they have so you can be more familiar and more acclimated with that. And more importantly, I'll make sure that you have a point of contact at the state level. So if there is another state organization, or if you're just focusing in on Delaware State University, you'll be able to navigate this particular portal to see about the opportunities that are upcoming that you are able to engage in. So let me pause right now. And if you have a question for the officials here at Delaware State University, I'm going to ask that you unmute yourself and ask the questions directly. Are there any questions for Bernard or Jackie regarding the information? See, there is a question in the chat. What are some of the award criteria: pricing, performance, quality? Is there one area weighted more than the others?
Yes. So go back to, let's start at the beginning of that question he asked. Bring that back up.
Okay. What are some of the award criteria? And in brackets, they have pricing, performance, quality. Is there one area weighted more than the other areas?
So when you become a state award vendor, the pricing pretty much is in the state awarded contract. Over a certain threshold number, because by procurement, prevailing wage is provided to a certain cost when it's above, correct me if I'm wrong, Jackie, 50,000. Prevailing wages is added, but everything, that's what makes them an awarded vendor through the GSS, because you follow the pricing from the contract from the state guidelines. The awarded part for us, speaking just on the operation side, we have like a lot of renovation work that we do, new construction work that we do proceed with, sidewalks and milling, road work, different things as renovations for the buildings. So it's multiple different things, but more of ours is for the building envelope side and the constructional side of it.
Are there any other questions? Feel free to type a question in the chat, or you can, at this point, unmute your microphone and ask a question directly to the representatives here.
Jackie, did I miss anything?
I just wanted to clarify real quickly for the businesses that that are not construction based. I know you said that there are other opportunities. Would they go through the same portal and utilize the same platform to look, or are there other opportunities under threshold like you just spoke of or they would go directly to the university to pursue opportunities?
So if they already a state vendor, because that's a question that we would ask, they could reach out straight to Delaware State University. We will ask for, their insurance, if it's under a threshold number, they could come forth and become a vendor without going through the RFP part of it, just for small projects, small renovations, things like that. So yes, we will answer questions, look over their paperwork, documentation, goes through our legal to make sure everything's up, and we can move forward from there.
All right, can you give us some of the examples? And I know that you're in the facilities management construction area, but is there a general example of some of the other products and services outside of the construction arena that the university typically purchases that you can share with the audience?
So, for instance, if you're a food provider or a vendor for like food, different things like that, which they would reach out to the university. It's a liaison that mediates through Sodexo, who is our food service provider, where it's a contract they may give out, and their procurements, their guidelines, things you go through for an event that we might be having on campus to become a food provider. Things that, different things that you may need to become a food provider or a vendor at one of the events. So it's different things from food, different assessments that we do besides thinking on the aspect for being a food vendor or anything like that. It's different consultants. Each division, they put out their own RFP as well, not just the state putting out an RFP. So pretty much circling back, if you would let me know or try to get to Mr. Banks to be more specific on what you're trying to capture, what you're trying to do, we can get it to the right division, and they can reach back out with a yes or no, or something they need help with, or something they might entertain with partnership with. We can get it to that division so they can answer that properly.
And also, Mr. Banks, I think you're talking, maybe the question is about more professional services and some of the other things that we do reach out to other vendors for. So along the lines of professional services, we do have, as Mr. Pratt is speaking of, we do look at other vendors and making sure they're a state contractor or to help them become a state contractor before we can do business with them. But there is a lot of outside work that we do with contracts and things of that nature, but that's a totally separate process, and it depends on the professional services threshold, things like that. A lot of times they're over the threshold, so we do go out to multiple vendors, for requests so that they can give us back the proposal and look at the cost. So if we have individuals that you're working with that are looking for more of the professional services outside of facilities, or in our educational colleges and more of our professional services, then we can connect you with that, and you can provide your audience with that information. But it's totally separate from what Mr. Pratt focuses on. So we have, in our colleges, we have other individuals who work on contracts. So if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you very much for that response. And let me ask one more time, are there any other questions from the audience relative to the products, the services, how to engage with Delaware State University for opportunities? Like I said, one of the things that we heard is that you have to be registered with the state in order to take advantage of many of the opportunities there. And we will definitely talk about that a little bit more. I will share some information in a point of contact that will walk you through that particular process, and that is Siobhan White. I'll make sure that you have her email address and telephone number. Any other questions for our participants?
Can you hear me? I have a question.
Yes.
I have to maybe turn up my volume. I'm sorry. So just to follow up on the information you just provided, and Mr. Foreman also, if we're already registered with the state of Delaware, who should we then, and we're in professional services arena, should we contact you, Mr. Banks, or directly to Mr. Pratt and the lady that are here? I just want to figure out who specifically we should reach out to, if we already kind of are a state vendor.
Bernard, I'll let you take it from initially, and then I'll follow up.
Thanks.
So if you're reaching out and so we can capture specifically what role or what you're trying to entertain the university with, can you reach out to Mr. Banks so I can get it to the right department?
Okay.
So I can have somebody reach back out to you through the question. Because if everybody reach out to me, pretty much, I might not be the one to have that answer for you. I want to make sure you're getting the correct answers, having the correct information, making sure you're going through the proper procedures to get into that part. I don't want to be that wall, but I can put you to the direct division to get you through to answer all your questions.
Okay, that's fine. That's why I wanted to clarify.
And you will have my email address and point of contact information immediately following today's session. And like I said, if there's something that you believe that I can do, we can definitely help you. One of the things I wanted to do was to explain our particular role. Again, I'm a business consultant with an organization called True Access Capital. And one of our missions is, well, we provide business consulting to businesses on practically any challenge that you may have. We serve as the host for the Women's Business Center. We provide free counseling, low-cost training to women-owned businesses, women and minorities, I should say. We are a financial assistance provider. We provide access to capital to small businesses that needs financing. And then this is a new role for us in that we are helping small businesses not only take advantage of what is available from the federal government, from the state government, but from private industry as well. We host these webinars, these informational webinars on a monthly basis to help you to better understand who's out there making opportunities available for you and your small business. Early in the spring, we're going to have what we call a procurement fair, where we invite a whole bunch of organizations at one session to come in to talk about who they are, what they buy, and how you as a small business entity can engage in that. We did this earlier this year in April. We had over 150, close to the 220 businesses registered, about 150 people participated. We had representatives from the Army Corps of Engineers, from Department of Commerce, from various private industry, JP Morgan Chase, and others just come in to talk about the opportunities that they're making available to small businesses. We gave you an opportunity to meet one-on-one with these organizations to talk about who you are, some of the products and services that you're selling, and seeing if it's a good fit, good match for your particular business to conduct business with that particular organization. And it's something that we're going to do a little bit later on. Also in early spring, one of the things that we're doing is we are taking a group of businesses and we're going to handhold them. Our challenge is to introduce them to not only the federal government, not only the state government, not only the local government, but many organizations from private industry. We're going to hold your hand to help you get contracting opportunities from those organizations. And if it means, Jennifer talked about the 8A Business Development Program, the Women-Owned Small Business Program, Hub Zone, Service Disabled Veteran. If it means that you need to have those certifications, and make no mistake, having access to those certifications will definitely help increase the likelihood that you secure a federal contract from the federal government. We're going to hold your hand through the process from the application and assist with the marketing. We're going to show you who your customers are. We're going to show you what they buy, when they buy, and put you in a position to be successful. We're going to do the same type of thing for the state government. If you decide that, hey, I would rather devote my time, effort, and energies with the state government and the organizations there, we will be working with Siobhan White, help you get the certification that you need, because again, certifications will definitely help enhance your ability to be successful once you go after an opportunity. And we're going to be doing the same thing on the private industry side. We have a bunch of private industry organizations that we're partnering with. We're going to make you aware of who they are, what they buy, what are some of the opportunities are. And that's probably one of the primary objectives of this webinar series just to kind of get you introduced to that. But this is going to be a deeper dive, and this is going to be in the spring of 2024 when we will start recruiting businesses for this particular initiative, and we're going to walk you through the process. All that being said, the monthly webinars will continue throughout the process, but we're only taking a selected number of businesses that we can work with and manage well to help them to be successful by introducing them, holding their hands, helping them with the certifications, and helping them meet with the various organizations that are making opportunities available to you as small business owners. So stay tuned, make sure that you stay connected with us, listen for information regarding our upcoming procurement fair. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on in 2024 just to help small businesses again get involved, and make sure that you stay connected with us so you can hear about some of the other organizations that we will be featuring on our webinar series. Before I say goodnight, I want to give folks another opportunity to ask questions. And there was a question in here for Jennifer. So while you're queuing up that question, Jennifer, there was a question that was directed to you, and Kyle Winkfield wanted to know, what industries does the majority of the government spending go to? And I can answer that, but I'm going to let you address it. Together,
this could be really long-winded, JB, between you and I both going at this answer. All right, so the federal government, we're fans of saying buys anything and everything. And I think that everyone's timing here is really, really good, because the federal government right now is highly invested in broadening the industrial base. And what that means is, over the course of the last few years, maybe even the last couple of decades, the number of small businesses participating in the federal government contracting process and winning federal government contracts has gone down. And that is no good for small business. It is no good for our communities that are supported by thriving small businesses in terms of the economy and jobs created and so forth. And it's no good for the federal government, because if we've learned nothing from coming through COVID, for example, it's the fact that if the federal government in times of need can quickly turn to businesses that are based in the US to provide products and services, then the federal government is in the best shape. So your timing is great. I do want to, two things, direct you to a website if you're interested in getting down into what, in 2022, the biggest areas of purchase have been. It's gaoinnovations.gov. That's gaoinnovations.gov. And then /federal_government_contracting/ They give you a breakdown of what was bought in 2022, which agencies were doing the most buying of that. So if you're interested in that kind of big picture data, it's there for you. But I really do encourage you to attend that session that we run about quarterly through SBA Delaware on navigating the federal procurement data system. Because really, any business that wants to engage with the federal government, and I would think especially small businesses, wants to be smart about their marketing process. I mean, it's one thing to be aware, big picture, of what these big areas of purchase are, but you sell what you sell. You want to use this federal procurement database to identify the agencies that buy what you sell with most regularity. And by and large, it is true. The federal government buys almost everything, so understanding year over year, the government's buying more of this, the government's buying more of that, doesn't really have a huge impact on what your marketing strategy is going to be. Your marketing strategy is going to be identifying those agencies that buy what you sell, number one, because there are so many federal agencies. I mean, it's overwhelming. You want to go at this in a very pointed way. You want to identify the agencies that buy what you sell, and you want to see what contracts are coming up for bid 6 months to a year down the road. Then you want to get in front of that individual human being that's doing that purchasing, You want your capability statement in front of them. You want to have the opportunity to sell your firm. As I said, nobody sells your firm. Nobody knows your firm better than you do. So I mean, I hope that's helpful. Again, visit SBA Delaware website to join us for that FPDS session. I hope that answers your question. And of course, John, I hand it off to you for any thoughts that you have too.
All right, thanks, Jen. I'm going to ask that you do us one favor. That was a long email address. Can you put that in the chat so that everyone will have access to it?
Yep.
And just to dovetail on what Jennifer mentioned, the federal government literally buys everything. I think last year, on any given year, the federal government spends in excess of $600 billion with a B dollars in products and services. And Jennifer mentioned that Congress mandates that at least 23% of the procurement dollars that are spent domestically here in the United States go to small businesses. And last year we exceeded that 23% goal. Somewhere in the neighborhood of $148 billion went to small businesses. And federal government buys everything. The thing that you want to do is to learn who your customers are, what opportunities that they're making available coming up that you can take advantage of, and then kind of run from there. And as Jennifer mentioned, the FPDS workshop will help you to identify who in the federal government buys the specific items and services that your company sells, and put you in a position so you can take advantage of some of those opportunities that are being made available. And I can't overemphasize this more enough. If you're looking to do business with the federal government, you're looking to do business with the state, and if you're a woman or minority, you definitely want to secure the various certifications associated with whom you are, because those certifications will help you take advantage of that. Jennifer mentioned that I worked for the Small Business Administration prior to my role here at True Access Capital. And what I did was I oversaw our government contracting division in that particular capacity. I know, for example, a business, one of my most successful businesses here in the state of Delaware was a company called Pulsar Data Systems. What did they do? They sold computers. When they initially received their certification, they were doing a little over $200,000 a year selling computers. When they got their 8A certification, within 6 years, this company grew to over $147 million in revenues selling computers to the federal government. And without that certification, they would not have seen that level of growth within that 6-year window. The certifications definitely help. The 8A certification, just to kind of dovetail some of the things that Jennifer was mentioning, any contract that is administered when you have 8A certification that has an estimated value of below $7 million, including our options, or for a manufactured item, or $4 million or below, is done on a sole source basis, which basically means that you're not bidding against the universe. You're submitting a bid based on your total cost to provide that item or service and reasonable profit to that customer, that federal agency that's buying it. And the federal government does have an independent estimate as to what that product or service should cost. And if you're able to reach agreement on price, terms, delivery, etc., the contract is awarded to you. That's simple. And the objective of the 8A program is to help give you that foot in the door, to help you learn the process, build your particular business. And when you get a multi-million-dollar contract to start off with, that allows you to build your capacity, to add and strengthen your relationships with suppliers. Maybe you won't be able to do everything on your own, but with a good, decent-sized contract with the federal government, that's definitely going to help you to attract other subcontractors, higher end subcontractors, to help you perform in that particular regard. And as I said, working on these types of contracts will definitely help build your business fairly quickly. So it's something that you definitely want to take advantage of. It is something that we here at True Access Capital, under the New Markets Opportunity Program, will help you do. You definitely want to stay tuned with us in any certification, whether it's the federal ones, the state ones, or the private industry certifications. Again, certifications are definitely going to help you to secure those opportunities. And we'll want to walk you through that process, hold your hands, introduce you to the customers that are buying the products and services that your company sells, and help you be successful. That's our objective here, as far as that is concerned. So before I end this, I know we are going off on a different tangent. I just want to make sure, are there any other questions on either the opportunities available from Delaware State University or on the federal side? While Jennifer is on the line as well, do you have any other questions that we can address? I see that there's some messages in the chat. Let me just go through here. Can you go ahead?
So one of the questions from the chat says, for construction contracts, are you able to use subcontractors? Now, is that, yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry about that. From the Delaware State standpoint, me being over operations and for the constructional side of it, that's a definite no for me. One reason why I won't say they can't help a partnership with somebody, but when they bring in a middle person, it's a markup. So even though they umbrella underneath for their liability, that's a concern for me because we're paying an additional cost when we can go straight to the source of that third party. I try to more do, when you look at the submittals, how much of the work are they actually going to be doing? Are they just going to be coming in as a CM and just be contracting the work out where they market it all off? Or they're going to be doing 90% of the work and they only bringing in somebody to help 10% with the other 10%. I look at that differently. So it depends how much of the contractual work they're going to be doing and how much they're going to be contracting out.
So Bernard, is that true even for, let's say, a general contractor? If I'm building a building from the ground up and, you know, you have electrician, you have HVACs, and I don't think that you expect one vendor to be able to provide all of those disciplines without.
So on a major project, I would look at that different. They're going to be umbrella underneath of that company itself. So we just dealing with that company. But we do evaluations here as well, where we can see how much of the work the company has in-house than what they sub out. We don't hold that against the company. We take that in, but you do have companies that come in where probably 90% of the work they're trying to sub out. So we look at it both ways. How big the project is, pretty much.
Jennifer, do you want to tackle that question on the federal level as well?
Yeah, sure. Well, on the federal level, there's a concept called the limitation on subcontracting. And generally, the federal government is looking for small businesses to do 50% of the work on these contracts. But there's some nuance when you get into the construction contracting arena. And, you know, I'm not familiar with that industry specifically. So I would say, John, if you have some thoughts on that, weigh in. Otherwise, you can email me and I can find out the details of how that falls out in construction.
So yeah, I can add to that. So in general, if you're doing business with the federal government and you're a general contractor, the federal government requires that at least 15% of the total project be done with your workforce, and you can subcontract work out. If it's a specialty trade contract, if it's meaning that you're only doing the electrical work or you're only doing the HVAC or only doing the roofing, the federal government requires you as the prime contractor to perform at least 25% of the work with your own workforce, and you are free to subcontract some of the opportunities out to strategic partners in that particular regard. I think that we answered that question from Delaware State University and federal side. Chris, was there another question in the chat? No, that was it. All righty. Are there any other questions before we adjourn for today? Once again, we will be making a copy of the recording of this presentation available to everyone. We will share with you the PowerPoint presentation that Delaware State University has prepared for us. I will make sure that you have the contact information of everybody that you need to have contact with. I see that there's a new message in there. So just stay tuned for that. If you registered for this particular session, that means I have your email address and you will have copies of the information that we will share. There's one more question I just saw pop up, Chris.
Yeah, so
The last question is, when you say workforce, do they need to be W-2 employees with your company?
And the answer to that is yes. If they are a 1099 employee, they're subcontractors. So that means that you're subbing work out to them. These, when we're saying 15 or 25% of the work with your own workforce, they have to be W-2 salaried employees in order to make up that particular threshold. Good question.
And that was the last question.
And I think that was the last question in the chat. So I'm going to give you one final option. Going once, going twice. All righty. I thank you again for joining us today. I hope that the information disseminated today was helpful to you and your business. And be on the lookout for an email from me a little bit later on with the information that I promised. Thanks again. And we hope that you join us next month. We are working on the city of Wilmington to share information about their products and services and upcoming procurement opportunities. So if you're looking to do business with the city of Wilmington, and we'll confirm that a little bit later on, make sure that you join us. We host these webinars the second Tuesday of every month, and we usually try to reserve between 10 and noon for our sessions. I want to thank both Bernard and Jackie for the wonderful information that they were able to share with us today about how to do business with Delaware State University. And I want to thank you, small business audience, for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. Thanks again, and have a terrific remainder of your day. Talk to you next month. Goodbye.